We need to have an honest conversation, and I know this one is going to make some people feel uncomfortable. And I'm not going to pose it as a question. I'm just going to say it outright. It's time for Detroit Lions fans to stop rooting for Matt Stafford. Full stop. Not kind of, not well, except when we're out of the playoffs. No. It's outdated. It's weird. And honestly, it's holding this fan base in the past. The Jared Goff trade didn't happen last season, guys. It didn't happen last year. It happened years ago. This franchise made a clean break. New quarterback, new culture, new direction, new expectations. And while the Lions were building and are still building, by the way, something real, a large chunk of the fan base just can't seem to emotionally move on in the postseason. And somehow, every January, some Lions fans turn into this confused, split personality fan base where they're cheering for Detroit during the season and then suddenly pulling for Matt Stafford the second the playoffs start, or if Detroit's eliminated. It's not normal behavior for a fan base that claims it's ready to move on, that doesn't want to hear the same old Lions anymore. How many people say, oh, same old Lions? Why are you rooting for Matt Stafford still? I mean, that guy was a part of some of the darkest years we've had. He wasn't on any Super Bowl teams for Detroit. I don't look back on those seasons fondly. You know how many Thanksgivings I watched Matt Stafford lose? No thanks. And so let's be clear about something right off the top. You can appreciate what Matt Stafford did in Detroit. He had some wins. You can acknowledge that he played through some injuries. You can respect that he gave this city effort and toughness. That's fine. That's fine. That part is grown-up sports fandom. I get it. But appreciation is not the same thing as continued rooting interest. And that line should have been crossed off a long time ago. And especially when Matt Stafford himself has made it crystal clear where he stands on the matter of Detroit Lions fans. And this isn't speculation. Let's be clear about this. I just want everyone to understand that the next thing I'm going to say is not my opinion. Okay, this isn't media twisting words. Stafford has openly said in interviews that he wanted to come back and beat Detroit in the playoffs. Not once, but twice. That he wanted to walk into Ford Field and knock the Lions out and move on. And go win him a Super Bowl for the Rams. And honestly, from his perspective, it makes sense. He's a competitor. He's moved on. His wife's moved on. She's made similar comments. This guy's over here chasing his legacy in LA now. That's fine. That's what he's supposed to be doing. That's his job. What's not fine is Lions fans hearing that out of his mouth and still going, yeah, I hope he wins the Super Bowl. What? Why are we doing that? What are we doing? You know, this fan base spent decades being told to accept losing, to accept mediocrity, moral victories, and all that rah-rah that we're all tired of. And now that the Lions have actually been good, and I'm not talking about fake good or fluky good, but legitimately dangerous. Obviously, this year didn't go how we wanted it to go. But some fans still want to emotionally babysit a former quarterback who no longer represents this franchise in any way, like at all, and wants to end your season any chance he can. That's not loyalty. Jared Goff is your quarterback, period. He didn't ask to be here. He didn't ask to be a Detroit Lion. He earned being here. He didn't show up with nostalgia. He showed up and rebuilt his career while helping rebuild a franchise that had been broken for decades. Decades. This guy took punches, absorbed criticism. He still is absorbing criticism, by the way. He led a team that people laughed at into real contention. And instead of fully embracing that, some fans are still checking box scores to see how Stafford is doing this January. That's wild. This is like finally being in a healthy relationship and still stalking your ex on social media because they meant a lot to you once. Let's unload the baggage, guys. And let's talk about the playoff thing specifically, the postseason, because this is where it really crosses into absurd territory. The postseason is sacred. That's where allegiances are supposed to be sharp and clear. You don't get style points for being emotionally neutral in January. If the Lions are out, fine. Root against rivals, enjoy chaos, whatever. But rooting for a former quarterback who openly wants to beat your ass, that's backwards fandom. Matt Stafford isn't losing any sleep wondering if Detroit fans are still cheering for him. He's moved on. He got his ring. He got his validation. He got his national love, and good for him. But that chapter's closed. Meanwhile, Lions fans are still acting like they owe him something emotionally, and they don't. This franchise has its own identity, its own grit, its own swagger. The Lions aren't the sad, hope it goes well team anymore. They're the team other fan bases don't want a piece of. And clinging to Stafford nostalgia undercuts that entirely. You can't be a new Lions fan with old Lions habits. And here's the part people don't like to admit. Rooting for Matt Stafford is partially rooted in a fear that Detroit's success won't last long. It's like, well, I got my other team over there in the Matt Stafford, the Rams. It's this safety net mentality. It's loser brain thinking, and I'm not saying it lightly. That mindset is exactly what this franchise has been trying to kill. You either believe in what the Lions are building or you don't. There is no emotional hedge fund in between. You didn't see any Chiefs fans rooting for Alex Smith in the playoffs, and he had a terrible injury. No, they were rooting for Kansas City to win the Super Bowl every year. You don't see any Bills fans pulling for former quarterbacks who moved on. Did you see any Eagles fans cheering for Carson Wentz in January? Because I didn't. Because once that page turns, it turns. Detroit's the only fan base that treats former players like emotional support animals. And again, this isn't hate. This isn't disrespect. This is clarity. We all need to wrap our minds around this. Everybody. Matt Stafford is not a Detroit Lion anymore. He doesn't wear the uniform. He doesn't speak for the franchise. He doesn't represent the city. He actively has stated that he wants to eliminate Detroit from any postseason opportunity that he can, given the chance. That should be the end of the discussion. If anything, the most respectful thing you can do is just let the past stay in the past. Appreciate it, then move forward. Because in today's NFL, that's our enemy. They're in the NFC. And in the present, it's better now than anything this fan base has had in decades. And the future actually looks real. So yeah, it's time. Stop rooting for Matt Stafford in the postseason. I don't care if Detroit's out or not. This is Jared Goff's team. This is Dan Campbell's culture. This is a new Detroit Lions identity. And we need to act like it. Keep it locked. You're listening to Midnight Sports Detroit